Actually, there's a little bit more than that. Over here, it's got a little bit of a side room. It's the Chromatograph Infusion stand. For another, let's see if I have raw. Why did I type shards? I thought I had raw crystals. I have iridescent crystal shard. I was sure I had raw crystals. At any rate, basically the infusion stand, for those who don't know, requires this structure and the liquid chroma, and when it's done doing its thing, it consumes the liquid chroma, which is why this floodgate is here. It will automatically refill it. Over here we've got and I just fill in the chroma, right? So now I have night vision. And at any rate, over here is an attempt at automatic chromatographed alloying. You can actually do it in a Rotorcraft reservoir. There's some interface code for that. And of course, the nice thing about reservoirs is you can make them auto refill, unlike a clump or a hole in the ground. So basically, the idea would be to have so this is, for example, to charge the black shards. We'd have berries, we'd have the shards, and presumably this would be hooked up to a computer system, like Open Computers that is, and it would spit out the right number of items, and then I'd come by whenever it's ready and pick them up. Or theoretically I could have some sort of automatic pickup system, but that's harder to work with. The other two rooms, our main rooms, are up over here. Over here, well, 3 guesses what room or what mod this room's for. This is where I've done all the Thaumcraft stuff, or done all the Thaumcraft stuff I did do, which isn't really a whole lot of Thaumcraft, but whatever. I ditched these pretty early on because in favor of Chromatocraft's Aspect Former, but for those who don't know, these crystals are actually they work as stabilizers for the infusion altar, and so I don't need to have walls of skulls and all that, which also can't be placed on the ground as easily or around it, which these look better. There is a thing, by the way. A lot of people they ask me the question, so how do they compare to the native stuff, like skulls and candles and everything? And they say this one's better than this, and here's the secret. That's not true. None of that is true. There is no amount by which any one type of block, and of course I'm saying this like at the time I record this could of course change in future versions, but at this point in time there is no amount of stability any one block provides. It's not like skulls are better or worse than candles or anything like that, because to make a block be a stabilizer to the infusion altar, there's literally just one thing you can tell it. Is this a stabilizer? Yes or no. There is no amount of getting stability. I don't know how much each one counts for, because I do know instability is a number within Thaumcraft, but I would suspect it's some flat rate, like 1 point per block or something. Behind the scenes, the way Thaumcraft instability on the recipes works is the recipe says it has whatever instability, say 8, or that's kind of high moderate. Then that is actually the 1 in 1,000, or the n in 1,000 chance per second of something bad happening during that recipe. That being, an item getting shot off a stand, this thing breaking, that black lightning effect coming out and hurting the player, whatever. And that number is presumably countered by the stability effects around it. At any rate, we have over here, oh, by the way, this is where the hydrokinetics are. I mentioned they're on manual control. This is that manual control. Obviously, they are now off because the water just got cut off. Turn those back on. Just 4 hydrokinetics into a rotational dynamo, 3 or 2 groups. Oh no, it's 8 hydros into a dynamo and 2 groups of that. Anyway, over here we have the smeltery. This is a very large smeltery. In fact, another tweak we had to make was to Tinkers to enlarge the max size of the smelteries. I know Tinkers has that adaptive smeltery logic thing. That didn't work. Like, it didn't make it accept this really extra large smeltery, so we just tweaked the max smeltery size in the code, and, sure enough, this worked. The reason I have it so big is so I can dump in, thousands upon thousands of, something, and make it, in fairly short order, especially given, the tile accelerator on the smeltery controller, which, of course, is what actually does the ticking and the calculations. So if I want to make, I don't know why there's manual in there. If I want to make 30,000, clear glass, I can do that in probably 10-15 minutes. If I want to make 1,500 red alloy ingots, I can do that in, well, less than a minute. Over here is where all the clear glass was casted into basins. Yes, this many were needed to do so in a reasonable time frame. And over here is the ingot cast. This obviously can't keep up nearly as much, but the accelerators help it. It, like everything else, is hooked up to the main, fluid ME power, well, I guess not power on this one, but the main fluid ME, whatever, network. It's what runs along the underside of all these pathways over here. Of course, got Guardian Stones. That goes up into here. It's one big loop. It goes into the walls, comes out again, runs along the back of every one of these rooms. So they all have access to the main grid. In here also are, well, down there, well, first over here we have just a little walkway. And there's the farm again. But up here, well, over here we have the another terminal, a little bit of ME stuff. This is where I initially had my inscribers and everything. I'll show you where those got moved. This basically was the little AE crafting area. It turned out not to be big enough, so I ended up moving it. But I kept this stuff, the crystal growth chambers, which, for those who don't know, this is an add-on to AE. Basically, instead of having to toss the items in the water and let them craft themselves, which is a problem, especially if you have item vacuums around, which I do, you pump them in here instead, and they grow. It's also significantly faster, which is great. Little overlook onto that. And over on the opposite side, we have the gas turbine backup. Basically, as I've showed, or as I mentioned earlier, there's the gas turbines are the third layer of the power supply. These together can produce, well, a little over 192 megawatts of power. That all gets sent into these rotational dynamos. I'll explain what the different colors on these ones as opposed to normal means in a minute. And then, that's the backup supply at 3 gas turbines worth of power. It's enough to keep most of the base, well, not most of the base, but it's enough to keep the critical stuff online. Now, the special colors on these dynamos, you can probably, this color is a little bit distinctive. It's electrum and derium colors. They're basically, these are upgraded. As of V10, there's a new item, a new upgrade item to Earthcraft. There's actually 2. The other one is that recipe that was in the blast furnace, clogging it up. This one increases the capacity of the rotational dynamo. Specifically, it doubles it, or it doubles its torque limit. So these gas turbines, if I were to, say, put afterburner upgrades on them, and they produce twice as much torque, they can still take all of it without wasting any power. And that thus increases my backup power amount from 192 to 384 megawatts. Now, I haven't actually done that. Well, they have the upgrades on them, but I don't actually turn on the afterburners because there's a thing I put in, and I'm now regretting a little bit, where if you leave an afterburner on too long on the jet engine, well, it overheats and blows up. I am ambivalent on whether I want to keep that at this point. On one hand, afterburners are not meant to be left on at all times, and you probably would destroy any engine leaving them on for too long. On the other hand, I really would like twice as much backup power capability. Oh, and up here we just have a couple Wedgecraft batteries storing RF. For some reason, they seem to be able to power the ME system, but they don't keep the rest of the base supplied. So, even though they actually go straight into a Tesseract, as you can see. I don't know why that is. But oh well. At any rate, the other stuff up here, we've got, little level up room that hasn't been necessary since, like, the first week on the server. And we've got another portal, which I'll show you. Well, there's not much in the nether, honestly. There's an endothermic pump with a tile accelerator on it, but, whoop-de-doo. Over here, we have the B area. Now, none of these are on right now, because basically they're all hooked up to redstone. This lever controls these 4, and it's kind of how it works in banks, or 3. It works in banks of apiaries. There was some organization to this, at least at first. Like, there were ender bees here and industrious bees there. I think that organization has largely evaporated at this point. Well, okay, there's still ender bees here. But this is actually the room I designed the RF redstone flux radiator for. Those who are familiar with Chromatcraft will recognize this as one of the newer things. Basically, I have, whole bunch of RF receivers in an area. I do have RF going into the bottom through like the TE item and power conduits, or TE, they're thermodynamics, but they don't keep up, especially once you accelerate them, which when this was active I had accelerators between every pair of apiaries. This, on the other hand, can keep up. So, you know, I designed this to rain the RF down on the bees, and I'll actually show you how it works. Turn this on, actually, find, yeah, wait, what does that mean? I've disabled, oh, because of redstone, okay. Just get an accelerator. 32 times. I don't know what. Oh, I must not have plugged that hole in the basement. Oh well, I'll do that later. Put the accelerator back here. Turn that off, and you can see it's distributing RF now to the apiary. Each of these particle effects actually does represent a packet of RF getting sent. Time-wise, the RF arrives the instant the particle effect is created. It doesn't take this long to transfer RF from the transmitter, but of course particle effects do take some finite amount of time to move. Also, for those who've complained about a bug where these particle effects go through the target block, that's also been fixed for V10. So that won't be a concern anymore. Pop that off because I don't want 50,000 particles in my face. Okay, over here just have an ME system storing all the various bees and bee-related stuff like genes. It's easier just to have a dedicated ME system for that. Around out here we have, well, first, just this is where all the Gendustry stuff is. Over here we have a silver iodide cannon loaded up with sawdust because I hate rain. Over here we have a canola farm with a flower in the middle of it. These elemental farmers from Chromatograph do the harvesting. As you can see, each green particle effect getting sent out goes to whatever block it's harvesting at the time, much like the flux radiator. Chromatograph has a lot of particle effects that work like that. These are a lot faster than fans. They're also probably more performant. And this farmer actually has a fan-shaped area, or triangular, I suppose. And that's rather more convenient than just a whole wall of fans. It's also a lot less noisy. Now, it does mean that these ones over here don't get harvested, but, you know, whatever. These are all relay powered, as you can tell. We've got relays going actually all the way around the house. This repeater is the main repeater that takes energy off the network. It sends it up there. I'll get it there later. The energy comes in over here. We've got relay source. This can see. Oh, we can see that repeater. So never too little energy. It's kind of half full of green at the moment. Now, I've mentioned before I have all these time torches or torcherinos off, including these ones. The reason for that is this thing. I did make a video about the Aura Locus before. It's, of course, another Chromatograph thing. It's an endgame thing. You won't get it till you complete the dimension. But one of the things the Aura Locus does, you know, the video focused on, you know, the mob killing aspect of it, which it still does. That's why there aren't 50,000 wisps in my face anymore. But one other thing it does is dramatically accelerate crop growth. And, well, after you give it some time to, you know, learn where the crops are, it's far more powerful and more performant than the time torches are, because it doesn't, you know, dumbly tick everything in the area, including stone, grass, dirt, and anything else it doesn't need to do the tick, but still ends up triggering a block update. So yeah, that's why I've turned off the torches. Over here we have this relay source. It's delivering power to these farmers, which is of course harvesting the berry bushes, and the crystal shard farm. Now these don't really produce very many shards, but they're pretty. So here they are. Also over here is one of these little fake pylons. I keep calling them fake pylons because that's what they effectively are. They're called like energy focus or something in game. I'm trying to remember. There we go, energy focus. What it is basically like a little mini pylon you can draw energy off, like you're charging, you know, yourself. So there we go. So I've just charged up on red, and it's now going to request some off the network, I'm sure, in the next, you know, whatever time. Oh, make that 5 seconds. There's a bit of a funny story behind these. there's a guy on a TeamSpeak I used to frequent who was basically demanding these, like the ability to make, fake decorative pylons that could be used for low-level energy stuff. And for obvious reasons, the ability to just make pylons is completely a non-starter for Chromaticraft, because there's two problems to that. One, if I make it late game, right, which is of course the balanced way of doing it, by the time you can do it, it's worthless, right, because you don't need the pylons anymore. You've got the repeater network, right, because if it's late game, you need the repeater network to make it. If it's early game, what's the point of the repeater network? And again, it's worthless, right, in that sense, because it kind of tips over a whole chunk of the mod. He wasn't taking no for an answer, though, this guy. He was demanding, the ability to make, his own pylons. He kind of hinted at, decorative stuff being the primary reason, but I'll admit I wasn't convinced. But it got to the point where he was basically threatening to implement it himself. He is a mod developer. I won't say who. But he was threatening to implement it himself. And obviously I'm not going to have any of that, so here it is. But it doesn't power the repeaters and everything because that would be unbalanced. So there we go. At any rate, also out here we have, in there we have Clatterer, who just logged in and is going to do whatever. Clatterer is also another mod dev. He was on the Project E team and has now moved after some incidents there, not his fault, to another mod team, which by the way include the same guy I was just talking about a minute ago. But anyway, the other things here, we have a berry farm, which is largely useless for my purposes, but whatever, I made it anyway. We have the sugarcane farm over here. One of the few places I'm still using the time torches, because that is, A, it might be out of range, and B, is it might not accelerate sugarcane, so just whatever, time torches, and expanded resonant block breakers to do the harvesting. The vacuum hopper is picking all that up, of course. This is how I have 36 million sugarcane, because these have been going at this rate for 6 months. Down here we have access to a cave system. We won't bother going down there. Over here we have another computer. It's not doing anything at the moment. The plan was to have a third computer, a third display state on that that screen downstairs. The problem is there's no way to hook this computer up to the lumen tree. Because, well, if I hook cables and run them up along the lumen tree up to here, that triggers the multi-block check to fail. And did I just see the beam go through the glass? That's good, because I'll explain that in a second. But anyway, the multi-block check fails because it looks for air around it. Those who have built things right up against the base of the lumen tree will know what I'm talking about. And that then causes all the leaves to pop off. And that happened to me, and it took a week for this thing to recharge. At any rate, I don't know how to hook it up, so that isn't yet functional. And as far as I know, there's no wireless thing I can just plop on, onto the luminescent battery and make it, connect wirelessly. Because I could put something here without causing the multi-block check to fail. Now, the thing about the glass, I interrupted myself about. Basically, there's glass blocks here in the structure, and those beams of energy, they're supposed to be able to go through glass, but now it's not, but they've frequently had issues going, pathfinding through glass. They've failed to do so. Well, that time when it was going through the glass is an indication that time it didn't fail, meaning maybe the issue has resolved itself somehow, because I haven't changed anything. But whatever. The best issues are always the ones that fix themselves, like this one did not. At any rate, this was, or is/was, a tree farm, which is not currently working, but that's okay. We can fix that. It's also the other place where I'm using a time torch, because whatever, and just, farm trees. So I'll never, ever run out of wood. And that time torch is why. And no, this wooden gearbox doesn't catch fire, even though looking at the fire right there, it probably should. But, vanilla Minecraft fire rules, whoever said they were smart. Over here we have a great wood, probably one of the ugliest great woods I've ever seen. Whatever. I actually planted that earlier in the server's life, literally the first week of its life. And it's still here because whatever. Because whatever is probably the reason for a lot of the things on this server. At any rate, we'll just walk over this because whatever. Up here we have, the roof of the house, obviously. Use the fan to get up. I mean, I have a jetpack. I can fly, but the fan's there for people like Clatter who can't fly. On this floor we have the turbines, which are currently offline, because these are for the the HCGR. Together they produce, 2.2 gigawatts power, something like that. I'll go around to the other side. Got, of course, Chromatocraft crafting or casting system over here. It was in the middle of crafting it looks like a void cell, and then the server crashed, so it stopped. Yeah, this was a void cell. It stopped before it could get that last item, and just hasn't. It doesn't automatically restart, the next time the server launches. So whatever. I should probably put that. Yeah, I should probably just finish the glass just to get this out of the way. Little fun thing, by the way, though, while this is here. Notice there's different colors of particle effects coming off of the various things or various item stands. They actually correspond to something meaningful. Each color, for those who don't know, each color corresponds to at least one, usually two or three, various properties of, well, things. So, for example, red is like durability and endurance, that sort of thing. Brown is mineral. Blue is light. Purple is like improvement, betterment, that sort of thing. And, it goes around. And each of the colors coming off of the stand with a given item in it represents the properties of that item. So, for example, redstone, which is, machinery and circuitry and all that sort of thing, is lime and yellow. Yellow is energy, and green is like motion, or lime is like motion and agility. Iron, well, mineral, that's not really a surprise. Blue is glass. It's a little bit more of a stretch, but, glass is clear, lets light through, so light. The stuff that isn't recognized, like most of AE, is sort of just this pale blue color. I picked it because it's pretty. Let's trigger that crafting. That requested energy extremely quickly, but then again, these repeaters are turbocharged, so whatever. This, by the way, the special design on the casting table is because it's been enhanced. I added in V9 a 5th level to the casting table, like in addition to the 4 levels you see on the diamonds. Once you've leveled up far enough, and you get this in the process of like turbocharging all your repeaters and everything, the table levels up again and the design changes. It doesn't gain you any new recipes or anything, but what it does is twofold. One is it reduces the duration of all crafting recipes. It cuts it by a factor of I don't remember. And the second thing is it increases the throughput, but also by a factor of I don't remember. So, as a result, it doesn't take as nearly as long to request energy. Because otherwise, even if I turbocharge all these repeaters, which I did, if the throughput on the casting table can't match up, well then I've gained absolutely nothing. Would be another way to say that, but I probably can't say that for a YouTube video. Anyway, over here is the other side of the turbines. Currently offline because the computer told them to be offline. Redstone will shut down steam grates, as probably those who are familiar with Minecraft will know. Both of these go straight to a generator. The steam comes out there and goes straight to a steam scrubber because I can't be bothered to deal with it. So, and because it's water, and water is worthless. Anyway, over here we have the Chromatocraft ritual table, the ability table as it's also known. I believe I've given myself all the abilities, and yeah, there's a render bug here. In case you notice, the text actually switches before the animation completes. That's hard to fix. Trust me, I know about it and have tried more than once and have done nothing but break it worse. So, yeah. At any rate, so I even have Lumen Dash, which, by the way, remember the thing I said to ignore earlier where I suddenly had a bunch of particles around me? That's Lumen Dash. It's, and there we go, I just accidentally triggered it again. But, actually, I'll just open the page in the lexicon rather than have to go through the whole GUI again. But as the, Lumen Dash, which one is that? Here we go. As the text sort of hints at, and someone did correctly guess on the forum thread, although I don't know if I ever told them they were correct. It's actually based off of something from Starbound, which there is called FTL Dash. Basically, it gives you the ability to sprint very, very quickly for a very short period of time, and then there's a cooldown. In-game, it's just implemented as, like, potions affect speed for like, half a second. It's like speed 80 or something insane like that. But it lets you, move an incredible distance very, very quickly. So if you're surrounded by tons of mobs, and for some reason this late in the game you're still vulnerable to them, then you can run out of danger. Or if you're lazy like me, or I guess impatient might be a better word, then you can cover distance very, very quickly. And the particle effects it gives off and the sound it makes are based off of the ones you see in Starbound. I can't, like, Windows Movie Maker doesn't let me edit little videos as overlays into movies the way you could for, like, Sony Vegas, and I'm not going to spend $700 on Sony Vegas, so I can't show you a demonstration, but, Google's your friend. At any rate, I think that's it for what's in the overworld. Well, there's these. I mean, the floodlights in Luxor mode, as I call it, because, that's what inspired it, but for those who don't know, Luxor is that pyramid hotel in Las Vegas. It's got like a beam that goes into the sky that does this. But it's called a beam mode or something in game. And the ugly but nonetheless necessary waterfall for the hydrokinetics. Okay, fine, whatever. Probably the minimap. At any rate, every base I've ever made has had this. I think they're hideous, and I also can't do anything to get rid of them because hydrokinetics. Oh well. Well, I guess there's something else in the overworld I can show you. I'm not going to show you the whole repeater network because it's big. Oh, there is something else in the overworld. I forgot about that. But basically, it goes over here and over that way through the water and branches out. Basically, there's turn on the angel ring. There's a cyan pylon over there, a magenta pylon over there, green that way, lime and pink over there. There's a purple one way out there. There's an orange one over there. There's a blue one way over there. White, so a light blue and a light gray, or it might be the other way around. There's a gray, a yellow, and a black way in the distance, and there's a pink over across. Oh no, never mind. I said pink. There is a pink over there, but it's not the one on my network. But yeah, that's where the pylons are. Oh, and there's a red one over that way. And so the repeaters come out in a whole bunch of different branches. But the other thing to show you is, well, another Chromatograph thing. Across the bridge, which is not Chromatograph at all, we have the portal structure. This is the Chromatograph. It also has a name in-game, and I've forgotten it. But basically, this is the portal to Chromatograph dimension. This is, of course, necessary if you want to get through Chromatograph. And if you cheat it in before you have the right progression, it will just spit you back out and quite possibly kill you. I'll let you figure out the hard way what that means. And if you do have the proper progression, it will take you to the dimension, which I will not spoil for those who haven't done it. But this is the structure that you need, including the ender crystals, which, yes, you can pick up and move around and do whatever with, and no, will not blow up if you punch them, because I learned a lesson the hard way on the 1.6.4 version of the server. Anyway, over here we have a node which I accidentally plugged into the crystal network and decided to draw all the energy it could and turn pure and turn massive. So, yeah. At any rate, that, this time, I think, is everything in the overworld, except for the thing which I said I'd get to and never did, which is the item collector. Basically, it just picks up canola seeds and experience berries within its range, just to reduce the number of item entities that get created. Because item entities usually equal lag, because this is Minecraft and this engine is crap. Anyway, so any item entities that are created within its range instead get absorbed, and then are pumped out into this ender chest, which goes into the ME system over somewhere. There's a green chest somewhere else. Anyway, this is not the end of the tour, though, because there's actually other stuff. Because over here is my little Mystcraft area. Very crowded, I know. Most of these are garbage, and you probably don't care about. This is a mining age, one of those lovely worlds where you've got nasty potion effects and you can't see 3 feet in front of you. It's literally just a tower of board, and I'll show you.